When thinking about the mentor process, I didn't really know where to look at first. I was limiting myself to New Jersey and people I knew, until Rachel suggested I look outside the state. Eventually, I chose Washington, because I might be moving there after college, and I chose for my mentor to be Sean M. Riley, the drama teacher at Ballard High School, because his philosophies are similar to mine. Mr. Riley is a graduate from Minot State University with a major in English education and communication arts while having a minor in humanities. He also studied art history and classical studies at the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis before receiving his MFA in directing and acting from the University of Portland. Mr. Riley was named one of the top 15 actors in the nation by the American College Theater Festival in Washington, D.C. twice. His achievements in the musical arts created the Sean M. Riley Award. This award is for outstanding contribution to theater and music. This award is given annually to one graduating senior from the Ballard High School. Mr. Riley has directed and designed at the high school, university, and community levels, with his most recent project being Little Shop of Horrors. His favorite projects he have ever worked on was Lonely Planet, The Love of a Nightingale, Les Mis, Little Women, Cabaret, Songs for a New World, A New Brain, and Bat Boy. Mr. Riley has over 70 shows under his belt, multiple Fifth Avenue Musical Theater nominations including Best Musical and Best Director, and invitations to participate in the International Fringe Festival in Scotland for 2017 and 2017. Mr. Riley has quite the resume, but his passion isn't only in theater. When he isn't in the theater teaching new actors, he can be seen in the language arts classroom, putting his English education and communication arts degree to good use. He says, "Most English classes have you read a book in a circle, but I make my students stand up and act Shakespeare and Miller. It's the only way to feel what these playwrights wanted to get across." While doing my research, I found out that he was openly gay with his partner Brian Reardon, teaching at the same school. Being asexual myself, I wanted to ask him how that experience was and if he met any resilience from the parents, school, or students. I know New Jersey is a bit more open with that stuff, but I'm honestly not sure how Washington is. His response was, "I nor my husband have experienced any homophobic behavior directed towards us from either the staff or students. The parents might be upset with us, but I just tune them out. I'm a teacher, and my main goal is to teach new and welcoming minds. Our experiences have been nothing but safe and welcoming." The only thing he commented on is if a student uses a foul word without knowing the meaning. Teaching at a high school, you're bound to hear derogatory terms such as, "that's so gay," or "you're such a faggot." They're used almost as commonly as "you're so stupid," but I'm not insulted. When I hear that stuff, I just see it as a teaching opportunity to say, "not cool." The old school that I was teaching at wasn't as accepting as Ballard, unfortunately. Before Mr. Riley came to Ballard, he was teaching at Capitol High School in Olympia, Washington, before he moved to Seattle to start anew. Here he was greeted with new faces and open arms. "I was one of the lucky ones, I guess," he says, commenting on news reports he overhears. I asked Mr. Riley what a normal day looks like, and he says, "A normal day has me flipping between drama and language arts classes. During lunch, it's usually just me grading papers, but I try to get out when I can. On Mondays, I go straight to the International Thespian Society, and if it's during play season, I go straight to rehearsal. Most nights, I'm not getting home until 6:30 or 7 o'clock. You have to really love what you're doing to put that much energy into these kids. It's not about the money. It's about seeing these kids grow into better people than you were as a kid. I don't want them to leave high school and forget everything I taught them. I want them to use it as they go to college or the workforce." This advice is something I'll hold dear as I go into the teaching field, but I'm also inspired by his motto. His motto is, "I don't do high school theater, I do theater with high school students." Seeing as many of his students has gone on to big-name acting schools, which have led them to Broadway, film, and television, I think his philosophy is working. I asked him if he could do anything over, what would it be? He said, "Cherish your time in college because it moves too fast, but also learn all you can. College is a time where you can learn whatever you want. It doesn't matter what your major is." He also said, "I wish I had more confidence when I started teaching. I knew the information, but they don't teach you how to conduct a class in college." The person who inspired me to be an actor was my sister, and the person who inspired me to be a teacher was Joe Russo. So as to who inspired him, he said his parents. His mother was an elementary grade English teacher, and his father was a director. He remembered the times going to the shows his father directed as a kid, saying, "That's what I want to do." The two almost went hand in hand in his mind. I asked him what his goals were, and he says he wants to get back into directing professionally when he retires. Working with high school level students are great, and he loves seeing them perform, but he misses the industry. He also said he might write a play or an autobiography, and let me tell you, if he writes either, I'd be the first to buy it. I asked him if he had any hobbies, and he said he loves supporting local theaters. He bought a pass so he could see their whole season for a flat fee. He also loves going to movies or date nights with his partner. If he could travel anywhere, he'd like to go to Europe, hopping from city to city and seeing different types of performances. I asked Mr. Riley if he chooses shows that are high school level shows or college level shows, and how much freedom does he get when choosing the season. Her response was this: "Every year we do one straight play and one musical. Whether that happens in the spring or the fall is up to the team I'm working with on the musical, but I like to challenge the kids." Speaking about challenge, Mr. Riley spoke about two school shooting presentations. Now, I didn't direct these, but there's these two plays with some of my students called Bang Bang You're Dead and Eric Laru. Most schools don't want to touch this stuff, but it's important to remind our community of the effects they still have on our students years later. His perspective will make me a better teacher as I get into the field. He always cares about the students and wants to challenge them. He wants to change their opinion of the world so they become educated adults. Whenever a student says something negative, he doesn't dismiss it or screams at them telling them that's wrong. He explains why it's wrong to make that connection with the students.